After 17 years of no contact, my estranged half-sister tried to force her way into my life and home with the help of our entitled family. My half-sister HS and I have no real relationship. Background: my dad divorced our mother when I was 5, and HS was still 4 but going on 5. HS was the product of my mother's affair and was born exactly 9 months after me. My dad stayed with my mother until I, at 5, told him about the man my mother kept bringing over when he wasn't home. That would be HS's father. My dad gave my mother the house in exchange for removing his name from HS's birth certificate. He paid her child support for me up until I was 8. My mother abandoned me during her week because her affair partner didn't want to take a child that wasn't his to visit his family for the holidays anymore. HS pretty much hated me because her grandpa supposedly liked me better. Dad tried to be civil and make sure I had a relationship with HS after that, but I didn't want anything to do with her either, so I never spent time with her after that. HS herself would say she didn't have a sister, so I never claimed her either. The day I made my account, HS called me. I don't know how she got my number, but she was sobbing about our mom kicking her out of the house and not wanting anything to do with her now that she's married to random name I don't know who he is. I just hung up on her, to be honest, and she started texting me that she really needs her sister's help. She said she has nowhere else to go. Her father cut contact a while ago, and no one is willing to come to get her. She lives 6 hours away from where I live, which I guess is easy to figure out because I live next door to my dad. I'm a bit torn because, when she called again, I told her we're not actually sisters, and I'm not coming to get her, nor am I giving her a place to stay until she's back on her feet. Then I hung up again. I blocked her number, but she's been calling from other numbers. Now I have people from my mother's family telling me I'm an awful sister and I should be more understanding because I was once the child. That got kicked out. I just need some insight because I want to know if I'm in the wrong or if I should have gone about it differently. Relevant comments and TA, your mother's family has a lot of nerve. Are any of them stepping forward to help your HS out? Ultimately, you don't owe her anything due to some shared genetics. At the same time, do you want to act the same way she did? I'd definitely be cautious about bringing someone into my home that I didn't trust enough to not rob me blind, etc. You know her better than we do. If you do decide to be the change you would like to see in the world, just be certain to lay out all of the possible ground rules ahead of time. OP's reply: that's my main question, the act the same way she did part. Had this been a few years earlier, I would have helped her, I think. When we were kids, I'm pretty sure she was. Just parroting whatever her parents were saying. But we're both 25 now, and I don't get why, after 17 years, I'm the one she comes running to. I don't think I should have said what I said when she was already so emotional, but I just don't get it. No one is helping her as far as I know. Most of the people calling or texting are people I don't have a relationship with. My grandma claims she has a full house right now, and since I technically live alone, she thinks I should help HS out. But she's saying that because of the whole family helps family mindset. I don't know her all that well anymore either. She's as much of a stranger to me now as she is to you. I just want to know what others would do in my place. NTA, but it's a bit strange that no one seems ready to step in and help your HS. What did she do to get kicked out? Op's reply: her texts made it seem like her mother got remarried and that her new husband didn't want her in the house anymore. My grandma hasn't added any more information either. An aunt and a few cousins claim that it's similar to what happened to me, i.e., a new spouse not wanting a child that isn't his around. First update: 2 days after the original post, 4 days ago, I made my account and contemplated asking if I was in a hole for something. My half-sister HS had called me crying, saying our mother kicked her out and she really needed her sister. I hung up the first time, and when she kept calling and texting, I told her we're not actually sisters and I wasn't driving 6 hours to pick her up or letting her stay with me. I've been getting non-stop texts and calls from my maternal family since then. My maternal grandmother, the only person I stayed in contact with, pretty much begged me to be a good sister and let HS stay with me. She told HS I have my own house, gave her my number, etc. I blocked my grandmother, and everyone is saying that I should be understanding because we've both been abandoned by our mother. It isn't the same. I told my grandmother this, but no one seems willing to acknowledge that. For context, HS and I are exactly 9 months apart in age. She's the product of an affair, and my dad stayed with my biological mother, BM, until I was 5 and told him she kept bringing a man around when he wasn't home, her affair partner AP and HS's biological dad. My dad divorced BM and gave her the house in exchange for removing his name from HS's birth certificate. BM lost custody of me when I was 8 after abandoning me because her affair partner didn't want to bring a child that wasn't his to family gatherings. Dad tried to keep it civil so I could have a relationship with HS, but she was a mini affair partner and never viewed me as a sister. I didn't like being around her, so my dad never forced me to. BM, her affair partner, and HS moved not long after this. BM had been in childcare but lost her job because no one wants to hire someone to watch their kids when they abandon their own in the middle of the night. I haven't seen HS in 17 years. I didn't even know what she looked like until I came home today. She was sitting on my porch with a suitcase and what I think was my grandmother's car, which pulled off as soon as I parked. I didn't get out of the car. I was too angry to even move, and I'm still angry right now. She kept saying she needed me and started crying, telling me that our mom was awful, her dad cut contact, and BM's boyfriend doesn't want her in his house. I live next door to my dad, so when HS started knocking on my car window after I just stared at her, I called him and told him what was going on. I asked what I should do. Dad told me to stay in my car and call the cops, saying she was a trespasser, which I did. I didn't get out until the cops came. When they did, HS told them I agreed to let her stay and that now I'm leaving her homeless. I just showed them the texts, specifically the only text I gave in response to everyone demanding I let her stay. No to you having the space. No to she's your sister. No to can she please stay with you. Nothing but refusals before I blocked people. When HS kept saying, we're sisters, I told the cops, I haven't seen this woman in 17 years. I don't know her. I didn't even know what she looked like. We're not family beyond sharing an egg donor. I even went as far as unblocking my grandmother and calling her. I didn't even get to speak. She said or yelled, look, OP, I love you, but you need to get over this. She's family, and she needs you. I've told your father you'd go to hell if he raised you to be so damn selfish, and you definitely will because she's going through the same thing you went through. She hung up right after. I told the cops they could book HS or drop her off at a shelter. I don't care. I just want her off my property. They took her. And now I'm sitting here on my dad's couch wondering what the hell just happened. He doesn't want me to stay alone right now in case they show up. I'm so pissed right now. I don't get it. 17 damn years of no contact. I only speak to my grandmother on holidays. I don't know most of the aunts, uncles, and cousins that blew up my phone. But because BM pushed me out, I have to do what they tell me to? I'm 25 years old. I've only had my dad and my paternal family for years. BM and her family haven't done crap for me. None of them even know when my damn birthday is because even my grandmother texted me on the wrong day. Not even a phone call. If HS needs help so badly, one of them should help her. I don't know her, and I don't know any of them either. I'm not letting an entire stranger into my house, and 6 hours is too far to visit when I had surgery, but not too far to try and force me to do something. Relevant comments. Commenter, yes. The maternal side of your family should be helping out here and taking her in. It is not your responsibility. Commenter 2. It's crazy how the maternal grandmother says your dad and you would go to hell for being selfish, but not a word to her own daughter, BM. I don't get why the affair partner doesn't even look after his own daughter or HS. FFS, go one step further and ask for a restraining order. Get cameras for your home. OP's reply, I'm going to get one and hopefully it's approved. Thankfully, we already have a security system and cameras too. More advice, get a second phone number and tell everyone you want in your life what it is. Remind them several times to change their records to reflect the new number, and then after a month, disconnect the old one. File a restraining order against your grandmother and your half-sister. What they did is creepy as FOP's reply, thank you for the advice. I'm definitely not going to have anything to do with my grandmother anymore, and I'm going to try to get a restraining order. I have the text saved, I'm going to check the footage of my security system tomorrow, and so on. I will definitely follow the advice about the number. Commenter 3. Do you have a security system in your house and/or car? Maybe I'm being paranoid, but better safe than sorry. If you get one for your house, make sure it also covers your parking spot. You might want to let the neighbors on the side of you or across the street know a version of what's going on in case she comes back. OP's reply, I have a security system in my house and cameras. I also have a garage that I normally park my car in, and a camera points at the spot in front of the garage door too. I'm going to tell my neighbors this morning, and hopefully nothing else happens. I'm still going to try to get a restraining order. Another user suggested, in that case you shouldn't have blocked them. Mute them, sure. Ignore them, definitely. But blocking them prevents you from gathering evidence of harassment and stalking. OP's reply, I didn't think about that. Thanks for the information. I will definitely do this, and hopefully, it'll be worth it in the end. Second update days after the original post, original title, update. They dropped her off at my house. For clarity, with new abbreviations, HS equal to maternal half, sister BM, equal to biological mother. GM equal to maternal grandmother. R equal to restraining order. T equal to no trespassing order. TRO equal to temporary restraining order. I checked the camera footage last night, or this morning. HS and BM's mother, GM, had been looking under mats, rocks, potted plants, the mailbox, and checking the doors, probably looking for a spare key. I don't keep one on my property. My dad, grandma paternal side, and grandpa have keys they keep with their own. My uncle did an overhaul of my and my dad's cameras. We now have ones that send notifications to our phones when motion is detected. I also got Ring doorbells for the front and back doors. There are other features, and all the cameras are better hidden as well. I went to the police department while my uncle was doing this and brought my grandpa with me. HS was booked for trespassing but wasn't held. Very long since BM's mother picked her up from the station. They stuck to the lie that I offered HS a place to stay and gave statements. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I'm taking steps to protect myself, my property, and my dad and his property. HS doesn't have a record beyond this, so this was her first offense. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. It sounds awful, but I'd hope she would have at least one prior record, because commenters make it seem like that would make the outcome of a permanent row more favorable. BM's mother, however, does have a record: harassment, trespassing, and domestic violence. I shared this with the police as well. Either way, I was able to get a temporary restraining order TRO today, so there's that. I gave the camera footage to the police, alongside copies of the texts printed out and on USB, and gave a statement. They called a judge to get the TRO issued. I talked with them about other things, like self-defense recommendations, overhauling my security system, getting a gun for protection, and so on. I was really anxious and just kept talking because it finally hit me that these people know where I live, and they're willing to drive 6 hours to harass me and try to get inside my home. The texts and voice messages haven't stopped. I unblocked and muted them. There are direct and indirect threats. BM's mother is adamant that since I have an entire house to myself, a stable job, and no children, I will be housing HS, or she'd give me the ass-whooping my dad should have. HS has only left one voice message about coming over later today, and that she's staying with me because that's what blood does. They help. When there was no response, she sent multiple texts telling me I needed to be more understanding, that she's in a tough spot, and that she's moving in for at least a week until she's able to support herself. It's 7 days to gain tenancy here. Additional clarification. For people asking about the age gap, I'm a February 1st baby, and HS is a November 29th baby. I say exactly 9 months because I'm not counting the weeks and days. I just felt that people knowing we're the same age was relevant and gave context to why I have no relationship with her. I don't know if she was premature, I never asked. People are saying they have similar gaps around them, so I have nothing to add. Multiple people also asked if I hated HS, or if I sounded resentful for things she said as a child and for things her parents did. In my first post, I talked to someone in the comments and admitted that, had this been a few years earlier, I may have helped HS without much thought. I know that as a child, she was just parroting her parents. I don't fault her for that, nor do I blame her for BM abandoning me. But it's been years. We've been legal adults for 7 of those years. She could have reached out at any point, but she didn't, and she said she had no sister. I also could have reached out at any point, but I didn't. I just moved on with my life. I was in therapy since I was abandoned, and it took me years to move on from no one on that side actually wanting me. Now she's making herself a problem. BM's mother aside, HS was sitting on my porch with a suitcase, ready to force herself into my home and life. She allowed herself to be driven 6 hours to my home, sat on my porch for half an hour, and then lied to the police after I said no multiple times. She never claimed me until she needed something, and now she's forcing herself into my life on the basis of being family. I don't hate her, that's too much energy. But I do resent her now, along with her grandmother and the rest of her family. I was ignored for years, and now I feel unsafe in my own home just because HS and those around her can't take no for an answer. This isn't about BM's affair. This is about HS and her family ruining my safe space, my home, with their crap. The past is a factor in that resentment now because, again, I haven't spoken to her in 17 years. I didn't know what she looked like. But suddenly, we're sisters because she needs a place to stay? I definitely resent that. Also, I feel validated in my choices. Posting on Reddit, asking for and taking advice, and listening to my dad and the attorney I spoke to pretty much said all the same things commenters have. Unblocking and muting to gather evidence of harassment. Calling the cops and showing them the messages to prove there was no implied invitation. This is apparently the biggest thing I had to worry about because even letting HS stay on my porch could have worked against me. Giving the cops the camera footage of HS and BM's mother looking for a spare key was also a good move. Upgrading security, getting self-defense items, and asking officers about self-defense recommendations, and my wish to get a gun for protection also worked in my favor. It shows that even though this was HS's first offense, I don't feel safe, and she's a major cause of that. Thank you again for all the advice. If they show up like they said, I'm going to set off my security system and call the cops. Edit from a comment. The TRO temporary restraining order wasn't active when I posted the update because it hadn't been served yet. They were found at a hotel near my home and were served. A neighbor saw them and called the police. I was reporting the texts, though. The TRO is now active against both HS half-sister and BM's mother, maternal grandmother. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Man, that side of your family sounds effing insane. They ghosted you for 17 years and then suddenly you matter to them now? Or like, what the actual hell? They are seriously deranged, especially your grandmother, which I put in quotes because there's no way she's actually your grandmother. I want to give her an ass-whooping just for treating you like this. They seriously think they own you and can command you to do things like you're their slave, or something. Document everything, ignore your stupid relatives, and keep on speed dial if you can. I'm going to keep checking on you to see what's going on, but hang in there. Hopefully their dumb shenanigans will stop and they'll be forced to leave you alone. But unfortunately, I doubt it. Commenter 2. Honestly, just to keep on top of everything, I'm using the update bot too because of how busy my Reddit feed is. Sorry that this is happening, but I love the swift and thorough action you're taking. My only advice would be to vigilantly check your mailbox in case she changes her address to yours to falsely claim residency. If you receive anything, send it back automatically, indicating that no one with that name resides there. You may want to double-check with the police or post office proactively. OP's reply, thanks for the advice. I will now be doing that as well. Third update, 3 days after the original post, I was told my comment was deleted or hard to find, so I'm going to make this post instead. I was going through the first messages sent to me and found one of the many I muted without reading. This is from a cousin of HS. Note, the order of the information was edited to be better understood. There were a lot of blocks of text, so I tried to put them in order for clarity. Abbreviations HS equal to half-sister BM equal to biological mother Rando equal to BM's current husband GM equal to maternal grandmother affair partner AP equal to HS's biological father details from cousin's message. HS made contact with AP when she covered BM's affair with Rando. AP stopped paying her tuition and cut her off financially. HS's work history is non-existent. HS was kicked out by BM a month ago because she was sleeping with Rando and one of his sons. The son turned 18 2 months ago. HS came home to find her and Rando's belongings on the curb and all the locks changed. The police weren't involved. The cousin doesn't know if BM told the boy's mother, but BM did tell the entire family. Essentially, BM said, protect your kids and marriages. HS claims she only slept with the son on his birthday, but BM claims he was a minor when it first happened. The family is adamant about getting HS somewhere safe to stay long-term because HS is allegedly pregnant. No one likes her, but they believe abandoning her is wrong due to her pregnancy. More details, the cousin expresses doubt about the pregnancy. HS showed GM a positive pregnancy test, but no one else has been given any proof. HS has a history of lying. So far, HS has couch-surfed with people who don't have kids, borrowed someone's car without permission, taken expensive items to pawn, taken money meant for interview clothes and travel but blew it on expensive mom and baby outfits, lied to the cops to get someone arrested by claiming sexual assault when they tried to have her removed from their property. The plot to get HS into my house. This was the idea of an uncle, one of GM's 3 sons. GM apparently brags or complains about me being young with no kids, a well-paid job, and a house I own. Essentially, this uncle said I had no responsibilities, disposable income, and plenty of room. Since no one wants to outright abandon HS, this was the best plan. The cousin ended with, don't give an inch, not even a ride to a shelter. Someone tried, and she caused a scene that nearly got them arrested because she kept lying about the situation. Please read this. I read your 2 posts. Stay safe. Relevant comments. Commenter 3. Honest worry about your holiday plans. I wouldn't leave your house or travel for Thanksgiving or Christmas. Be ready for her to make a scene on one of those days, and try to get into the house if you have guests or porch pirate your stuff. Stay safe, OP. We're rooting for you. OP's reply, I'm definitely preparing for that. I've read all of Camper Nomad's posts, and the potential lengths HS and GM may go to is scary. My grandma, the real one, brought this up herself and suggested we just have the holidays here. That way, if they pop up around the holidays, all of us are present and ready for the BS. Thank you. Another commenter, well, HS is very much BM's daughter. How many affair partners has BM had? Warning others about her daughter, while she seems to be as big a scumbag as she is. Rich. Another user adds, I love that BM had affairs, HS covered those affairs, and then she had an affair with BM's husband. She learned from mommy. A user quips Jerry. Final update, alive and well. I'm alive and well. No major updates today. Texts and calls have all stopped. My entire neighborhood is on alert, and the family rotation continues. One of my friends stayed last night, and a different friend agreed to stay tonight. Today will be spent with my aunt, the one with the keychain and fisticuff bracelet, and grandma. No one showed up at my house in the middle of the night. I'm following the advice of multiple people. Steps I've taken so far: making an FU binder. My aunt suggested making transcripts of all the saved voice messages, which I think is a good addition to the USB drive of them. Daily documentation. I've started documenting every day, even if nothing happens, in a spiral notebook. Recording movements. I will also be recording when I go to and from work or anywhere else, just in case. Safety measures. I reinforced the door screws when I bought the house. My windows were also upgraded upon purchase to impact windows, which are hard to break. My uncle, who's big on home safety, helped me with this. Even though I live next door to my dad and close to the rest of the family, he always says, "You're still a woman alone in a house, or you can never be too safe." Holiday plans. Holiday vacations have officially been canceled and refunded. Always invest in travel insurance. Stories shared with me have made me anxious about leaving my home unattended. My neighbors offered to watch my house, but I'd feel more comfortable being present. This year I'm hosting Thanksgiving and potentially Christmas. My grandma suggested this, and she's really getting into it, so today might also include shopping for decorations. Thank you everyone again. Update, mainly from concerned cousin. I got an update from my cousin about my half-sister and the situation with her stepbrother. First off, HS' half-sister was arrested after stealing her grandmother's car and credit cards. When she was booked, she apparently made it known that she was pregnant, but then refused to take a pregnancy test. State laws meant they couldn't force her to. Our cousin says that HS got her period while in jail and claimed it was a miscarriage. It wasn't. She eventually admitted that her grandmother told her to claim she was pregnant because that was the only way anyone would want to help her. It worked for a time, but her antics made everyone stop trying to push her onto me. She's now claiming she had a mental breakdown, and that's why she stole the car and so on. Next, the stepbrother situation. Concerned cousin did involve Child Protective Services CPS, mainly for the younger of the two stepbrothers, since the eldest is already 18 years old. Both of us were worried that HS had been involved with him in some capacity too. Their mother was also worried. When she got the full extent of what was going on, she filed her own report and told concerned cousin about it when they reached out. After the older stepbrother had a tirade online, he essentially said he was legal and slept with his half-sister because he wanted to. It hadn't been a one-time thing either. He and HS slept together multiple times, but he's adamant that it was only when he was legal and never before. The younger of the two revealed that HS had also offered to sleep with him too, but emphasized the "when legal" part to him every time she brought it up. She was grooming them, at least. That's what I feel like she was doing. He described conversations that made him uncomfortable, such as asking about the girls he liked, constantly complimenting his looks, bringing up his age and maturity, and so on. Unlike his brother, he never got comfortable with her. However, he also never said anything because this isn't the first time he's dealt with creepy older women. Both stepbrothers are in therapy, solo and with their family, and their father has lost custody entirely. Hopefully, both get the aid they need. How I feel disgusted by what I learned, especially because the younger man opened up about actually having told his mother about his discomforts. But he wasn't taken seriously by her. Maternal grandmother arrested. My maternal grandmother was also arrested this morning alongside her son, the one who gave her the idea of me taking in my half-sister. Both came by my house trying to plead their case for me to pay HS's bail because they couldn't afford it. The police were called and both were arrested. My maternal grandmother was in direct violation of the restraining order, so I hopefully won't be seeing or hearing from her again after this. Thank you for reading. If you're interested in listening to more stories like this, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.